your website is your first salesperson. It's like your first line of sales, and it needs to convey your message, but it also needs to build trust towards you so that people can feel good, they can feel understood with your messaging, with your communication, because this is what triggers them to reach out to you. If they feel like you're the person who can help them.
This episode is sponsored by Therapy Notes, therapynotes.com. Be sure and check them out, and be sure and use the promo code Gordon, Gordon, and you can try them out for 2 months for free. Over 15 years ago, when I started my private practice, I had to learn a lot, and most of it the hard way, and I don't think you need to do the same. Hi, I'm Gordon Brewer, a licensed psychotherapist, and welcome to the Practice of Therapy podcast, part of the Psychcraft network of podcasts. Join me in this journey of discovery as we have conversations with other leaders and professionals in both the mental and allied health fields. Join us as we explore both the business and clinical sides of running a private practice. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the podcast. This is episode number 331 of the Practice of Therapy podcast. I'm Gordon Brewer. Glad you've joined me. Glad you're listening in. And if this is your first time listening to the podcast, welcome. And if you're coming back for more, glad you're back. And I hope you'll take time to follow us or subscribe to the podcast wherever you might be listening to it. So my guest today on this particular episode is Mike Zoladkowski. And Mike is a marketing expert or a marketing person, but his wife is a therapist up in Calgary, Canada. And Mike takes us through kind of what he did to help get his wife's marketing, and in particular her website, off to a good start in order for her to begin to get clients quickly and to be able to kind of resonate with her ideal clients. And so that's an important piece. I've had a lot of episodes over the years here on the podcast about marketing, but I think it's always good to hear kind of different spins on it and different ways of thinking about it. I had a consulting call with a person not too long ago, and one of the things that I generally do when I do a consult call or just do an initial brainstorming call is I go and look at their website. And one of the things, and this is no shame here in me saying this, but one of the things that I noticed about their website was it was just really kind of in a way, kind of a cookie cutter website. It had some basic, information, but when I started reading the copy, it was really more about the therapist and their practice and not about how the therapist and the practice was going to help potential clients. So one big tip I would say around our marketing and our copy, and this is a theme you've heard from a lot of people in previous episodes, is you really need to let people know how you are going to help them and what the transformation is going to be if they come to see you. So, having your credentials and how much experience you have, that can be in there, but that shouldn't be the focus. But because for the most part, people don't really care about that. They want somebody they know that is qualified, but beyond that, they just want to know that you're going to be able to transform their life and help them, things get better for them and whatever it is that they're struggling in. So I would just say, keep that tip in mind in thinking about your marketing. So before we get to my conversation with Mike, one of the things I'd love for you to do is go over and check out our website, practiceoftherapy.com. I'm constantly adding to the resources there. And one of the things that I've been focusing on this year is really doing more one-on-one consulting with people. And if you're interested in working with me, one of the things I would invite you to do is just go to the website and click on the button up there that just says Start Consulting. And you can see the different ways in which I work with people. Typically, what I do is I do like a brainstorming call with a person. There's no obligation for that. I mean, it's a free 15-minute brainstorming call. And we talk about some of the goals that you might be interested in accomplishing. And then after that, I'll just send you a proposal of what individual consulting could look like and what the cost is. And we take it from there. But I really enjoy working one-on-one with people and really helping them find a transformation in their practice. So be sure and check that out. Go over to practiceoftherapy.com and just click on the button there that says Start Consulting. And the other thing that you've heard me mention on previous episodes, I'd love for you to check out a new online store that I've been collaborating with a good friend of mine, Ashley, on. And it's a store that's dedicated to mental health awareness, and really our profession is mental health providers. And then she has got lots of different t-shirt designs, mugs, and different swag items. There's even some jewelry on there, those kinds of things. But it's a pretty cool store that she's put a whole lot of work into. But you can find out more about that by just going to practiceoftherapy.com. And if you'll click on the button up there, I believe it's in the top left corner, or if you're on your phone, it'll be scroll down and you'll see it. And it just says Mental Health Wear TN. And so, getting that store going. I'd love to support her in this project. And also, real quickly, before we get to my conversation with Mike, I'd love for you to hear from one of the members of the Psychcraft Network, along with some words from our sponsor of the podcast, Therapy Notes.
Hi, Dawn Gabriel here. If you don't know me yet, I'm the person behind Soul Care for Therapists podcast, which is part of the Psychcraft network of podcasts. The Psychcraft network is a collaboration of independent podcasters focused on helping people live more meaningful and productive lives. This network of podcasts provides both self-help and business building resources to create an impact in the world and change people's lives. I'm so proud to be a part of this network. And if you haven't discovered Soul Care for Therapists podcast, you can find us wherever you listen to your podcasts. I'd love for you to join me as we explore the layered inner world that comes with being a therapist, an entrepreneur, and just plain human. I invite you to intentionally tune in holistically to your body, mind, and spirit in order to build a sustainable business and fulfilling lifestyle. We dive in to what it looks like to grow your business. We also look at how soul care, authentic community, and spiritual practices can help you prevent burnout and live a life you love. Join me as we allow the sacred to intersect with our work.
Ready to upgrade your practice from a rusty bicycle to a shiny new sports car? Buckle up, because Therapy Notes is here to turbocharge your journey. It's the comprehensive practice management system you've been craving, equipped with everything you need to navigate patient records, schedule seamlessly, host remote sessions, craft detailed notes, and tackle insurance billing with ease. And guess what? It's your trusty sidekick, available whenever and wherever duty calls. Picture having more quality time with your clients, all thanks to this digital assistant that never clocks out. Here's the kicker. It's Gordon approved, so you can trust it's the real deal. Bid farewell to paperwork headaches and embrace a new era of efficiency and top-tier care. Ready to level up your private practice game? Swing by practiceoftherapy.com/therapy notes and punch in promo code GORDON for 2 months on the house. Enjoy the show.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome again to the podcast. And I'm happy for you to get to know today Mike Zoladkowski. And Mike, sorry with my pronunciation of your last name, but welcome.
Yeah, tricky last name, yeah.
Uh, yeah, so Mike is located in Calgary, Canada, and has been working with a lot of different therapists and helping them with their marketing. And his wife is also a therapist, and I'm going to let him kind of tell a little bit of his story of how he got started in this. So, Mike, as I start with everyone, why don't you tell folks a little bit more about yourself and how you've landed where you've landed?
So I've been doing marketing for over 12 years now. Several years ago, my wife decided that she would like to move to a private practice. So we had to design everything. We had to build the whole business from scratch because at that point, I think it was 2021, she had no clients at all. And in the end, we had to start somewhere, right? So what we did is what we designed the website for her. We designed the whole brand. And then we thought about, the most effective marketing strategy that we can employ to get results as quickly as possible for her. We decided to go with Google Ads and Google Maps because, it's kind of obvious when you're looking for new products, new services. Google is kind of the first place where you go to find what you're looking for. And yeah, as it turns out, it's the same story with mental health services. So the strategy we implemented, it worked. Monika's therapy grew like really rapidly. So at some point we thought, why not use my marketing background and her therapy background to create an agency that works specifically with therapists, with coaches, and help them do the same thing, help them grow their business, their private practice using the same marketing strategy that worked for us. So yeah, this is what we've been doing for quite some time now. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. And so I know that's a big thing, particularly for people getting started in private practices. How do they get the word out? How do they reach their ideal clients? How do they start filling up their appointments? And so you developed a strategy. So I'm just curious about if you can tell us a little bit about the strategy that you use and just with your clients.
Right. So when we started, obviously we knew that she needed a website, right? Because this is like the starting point for whatever you do marketing wise, whether you decide to advertise on Google, on Facebook, wherever. At some point, you want to direct people to your website. At some point, you want them to encourage them to book with you, right? To become your clients, your patients, whatever we refer them. Yes. So that was the first step in our strategy to design a website that encourages people to reach out to book with Monika. And yeah, so we took care of everything from the template that we designed that we used to create the website through copy. So all the texts and sections on the website to make it clear, to make it understandable to potential patient. We wanted, for everyone who visits this website to get like a gist of what Monika can help with, how she can help with, and why it's a good idea to book with her. And at the end of the website of each subsection, there is also, because her business obviously is still running, right? There is a booking calendar where everyone who's interested can book at first a free initial consultation that lasts around 15 minutes, where they can ask all the questions, dispel their doubts, and Monika can see whether a given person is a good fit. So
Mhm.
this was the first step. And then we decided to start doing Google Ads, and where there was a few reasons for that. That for one thing, I'm doing marketing for other companies, so I know that Google Ads is like a good tool to grow business, especially if you want those bookings quickly, right? Some other strategies, like for example, SEO may take some more time. With Google Ads, it's faster, it's quicker. So we
Mhm.
decided to go with this way. And several years ago, I was kind of on the other side of the fence. I was the client, and I had an agency that was doing Google Ads for a completely different business of mine. And I was also very satisfied with the results that we got with this strategy. So we decided to, yeah, let's give Google Ads a try again and see how it works. And yeah, and the results that we got were quite good. She managed to grow her business to six figures in less than 2 years, starting from zero, from like zero patients and
Mhm.
nothing. So yeah, so this worked really nicely for us. And at some point we thought, why not do the same thing for therapists, for other therapists, right? Because if you're an expert at therapy at mental health services doesn't mean that you're an expert at marketing your private practice, right? Many
Right.
therapists
Right.
struggle with that. So
Yes.
this is where we thought that we might be helpful for people.
Sure, sure. Yeah. So in just people that might be getting started or obviously I think it goes without saying, and here in
Mhm.
2024 you've got to have a website. Now I know there are some therapists that just rely on things like Psychology Today and different
Yes.
directories and that sort of thing and for some people that works well, but I think if you're depending on your location, I totally agree. Your website is your front door, is what people come
Mhm.
to first. And in your work with people, what are you finding that people struggle with the most in getting their websites correct?
Yeah, it depends on a person. Sometimes we see some issues with the mobile friendliness of the website. That was the
Mm-hmm.
case with one of our prospective clients that we talked to. We took a look at their website, and the mobile version was not adjusted to those mobile screens at all, right? And right
Mm-hmm.
now, this is a very important ranking factor for Google. If your website is not mobile friendly, you will struggle to, attain good positioning on Google, because what Google does is actually right now they are checking your mobile version of your website first, and not the desktop one. So this is something
Mm-hmm.
that has absolutely been to perfect. When it comes to other things, I frequently see websites that are too short, just, very to the point, very specific. And on the one hand, that's good, but on the other hand, you also want to build trust, right? We always tell our clients that your website is your first salesperson. It's like your first line of sales, and it needs to convey your message, but it also needs to build trust towards you, so that people can feel good, they can feel understood with your messaging, with your communication, because this is what triggers them to reach out to you. If they feel like you're the person who can help them, right? They will reach out
Mm-hmm.
because you will gain their initial trust. Of course, then later on in the process, you need to maintain this trust. You need to prove them that you're the right person for the job, right? But your website does this first part of work. So it's really important. And yeah, and frequently we also see something that we kind of refer to sometimes as outdated design from the UX perspective. uh, it's like a personal preference thing, right? So it's not good or bad strictly in those kind of terms, but sometimes we see design that comes from like maybe 10, 15 years ago. And for many people, especially younger people, this kind of design can be discouraging. So that we also
Mm-hmm.
recommend improving the design of the website to make it user friendly, so that everyone can find, whatever they're looking for quickly without having to scroll through 10 different sub pages or look for, a specific button that allows them to book. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, this is the other thing. And yeah, and still many therapists, they don't have any sort of booking feature on their website. Sometimes there's also an email address, maybe a mobile phone, and you need to call them in order to book with them. And we recommend, streamlining the process. We recommend creating some sort of a booking feature that allows anyone who wants to book to do it whenever they want. Because even with Monika's therapy, we see bookings coming in at 3 a.m. in the morning, right? So we want to
Mm-hmm.
streamline the process. We want people to go to your website, find what they're looking for, and book with you as quickly and as conveniently as possible. So these are just some of the things that we work with.
Yeah, in doing consulting with people, that's one of the first things I do is look at their website. And one of the things that I'm sure you've run into this, Mike, as well, there's no
Mhm.
clear call to action or even knowing how to book with someone. And so it needs you're exactly right. That needs to be front and center, and they shouldn't even have to scroll to be able to do that in my way of thinking.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, CTA
Yeah.
buttons, they should be spread throughout the website in different places. So I
Hmm.
don't need to go to the top or scroll down all the way to the footer to find this booking button, right? It should be
Yeah.
nearby at all times. That's the goal.
Right. 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 That's great. That's great. So in thinking about your wife's practice in terms of how you were to help it to grow, What did you discover about what was? I know you mentioned having several different parts of a website that are important, things that I think
Mhm.
people need to keep in mind. What did
Yeah,
you find that was most helpful in that sense?
right. So I think it's important, to include three parts or aspects of your offer on your therapist website. The first thing that you need to, address is all the kinds of problems and issues that people may be struggling with that you can help them overcome. Because so that's one thing. The other thing is client groups. If, for example, you do couples therapy or teen therapy, right? These are two different therapy groups with different needs, different interests, right? So this also should be addressed on your website. And then lastly, we find it very helpful to include what kind of therapy approaches and modalities you use in your work and why these three approaches, there's these three aspects of an offer, primarily because of the way people look for help on Google, in other places as well, but we're specifically talking about Google here. So when we do keyword
Hmm.
research for our clients, we see there's three types of keywords of queries on Google. Some people look for, teen therapy. They know that their teenager is struggling with something. They're not sure maybe with what exactly, but they feel like something's wrong, like something's off, and they need to find help. So, like intuitively, the first thing you do is look for teen therapy, teen, teen treatment, teen help to see what are the options. So that's the first thing. The second thing is some clients are more aware about what they need. Sometimes they know, okay, I need EMDR, right? Because I know that this helps with trauma. This is what I'm struggling with. I've read some about it. I know that EMDR might be a good thing for me. So I'm looking for
Hmm.
EMDR, right? So your website, if that's something you do, should also address this. And then lastly, we have issues, right? Some patients, some clients are less aware, something that maybe I'm struggling with depression, maybe I'm struggling with trauma, maybe I have some sort of anxiety, and so this is what they be looking for. So your websites should accommodate different needs and different types of queries coming from your clients. This is very important.
Yes, I love the way you put that because I think you're exactly right. When people are looking, you know, I love the way I don't know that I've heard anybody put it exactly how you did. There's the
Mhm.
demographics of the client, which might be one query type. There is the modality. They're looking for a specific type of
Yes.
therapy. And then thirdly, the problem itself is what they're looking for help with. And so being able to include those three things, I think that sounds brilliant. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's a yeah. And I know again when I'm doing consulting with people and just thinking about, what they put on their website is being able to write it in a way that helps the potential client see that you as the therapist get it. In other words,
Yeah,
you know what it's
exactly.
like in their life and how that comes across in your website.
Yeah, and that you can help them with the same issue. Yeah.
Right, right. Well, Mike, what are some other things that, I know the Google Analytics and the Google algorithm is constantly changing. What would be some consistent things that you've found that people need to include in their website that makes it more, I guess, quote unquote, Google friendly?
Yeah. So thankfully, when it comes to Google Ads, we are a bit less prone to algorithm changes because this
Hmm.
is where Google makes money, right? So
Right.
they are more quote unquote forgiving when it comes to the websites.
Hmm.
We are more vulnerable to algorithm changes when it comes to SEO because here anything can change overnight. Of course, usually it doesn't, but there's always this risk. So
Hmm.
if you're thinking about running Google Ads, it's important, to set several Google accounts within your website and then integrate them with the website. So like you mentioned, there's Google Analytics account that allows us to track traffic and track what's going on within your website when it comes to people visiting it, but also taking actions on your website. There's Google Tag Manager that basically tells Google what we want to track within our website when it comes to actions that we want our patients or clients to take. So this is called conversions. This term basically, in therapy world, it basically means bookings, right? But it's a process. If you have a website, to get a conversion, to get a booking, you have to follow a specific process, or your client has to follow a process. At first, they need to, of course, open the website. Then they need to, click the book now button. Then they will see either a calendar or a contact form. They need to fill it out and then send it your way, right? Or send the booking with an indicated date and hour. So we have 3 steps. And with Google Tag Manager, we can kind of tell Google what kind of those steps are, why do we want to track them, why they are important. And then when we do, and we integrate Google Tag Manager with Google Ads, we can see that our campaign, our ad campaign, generated so many send forms, so many clicks on book now button, so many calls to our business if we have a phone number on our website, right? So this is what we can track. And the more we track, the more data about our website and traffic that goes through it we have, the more effective Google campaign we can run. So this is what matters. So at first you need to set everything, make sure conversions are measured. Sometimes, sometimes measuring just one conversion, like for example, send form or send booking request can be enough. It depends on the website, but sometimes when you have several services, you have a bigger website, you may want to track different things. So this is what we can do as well.
Yeah. So it gives you some clear data about what people are doing when they come to your website as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
So then it gives us this information, but it also feeds Google algorithms, because when we start getting data coming from website and send it to Google Ads, like in a way, right? The Google starts to accumulate this information, and they can start implementing what sometimes is referred to as lookalike audiences. So if Google knows that a specific person, of course, it doesn't track any personal information. So from privacy perspective, we're good. There's no privacy or there's no information that allows us to identify a specific person. Not at all. There's just technical information, like in general location or type of device or day and hour of the booking, right? So Google takes this information and uses it to display ads also to people who have kind of similar characteristics, which increases the probability of getting bookings from them as well, because they match the criteria versus who already booked with us in the past. So of course, at first we don't have this kind of data when someone's just starting. So at first everyone need to be prepared, to wait for about 1 or 2 months to accumulate enough data coming from the website, coming from Google. But then once we have that, we can optimize everything. The more conversions we get, the more traffic comes to our website, the more effective we can make those campaigns. Yeah.
Right. Right. So actually seeing what actually gets people to take action based on
and what kind of
you,
people. Yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's, such helpful information for people. In writing a Google ad, what's kind of your process for that, of knowing what to put in the ad and what kind of verbiage to use and that sort of thing?
Yeah, so what we do is basically we conduct strategy sessions with our clients so that they are fully aware of what's going on with their accounts, and we also discuss the ads, their contents, what should be included in those ads to make them more effective. Here you have to balance kind of 2 things. On the one hand, you need to include the suggestions from Google. They will tell you what kind of keywords or what kind of phrases are, being searched on Google. So you need to include them to make your ads more relevant, right? So for example, if someone is looking for EMDR Calgary, right, as a query on Google, if the same kind of response or phrase shows up in your ad, it makes it more relevant, right? Because you see exactly what you've been looking for. This is what influences like the quality and effectiveness of the ad. So on the one hand, we need to include whatever's Google telling us, but then of course it has to be balanced out by, making those ads customer focused, client focused, and making those ads, convey the message that we want to send, that we want to convey, in our ads. So you cannot just focus on the keywords, because this will make your ads very technical, very robot-like. You need to include this personal human touch that makes those ads empathetic, maybe more relatable to your potential client. So yeah, and try to always balance these two elements to make those ads both Google friendly and user friendly. Yeah.
Right, right. Yeah. So the messaging just needs to make sure that it's on a level that isn't intimidating. One hand, you don't want it to be intimidating, but more
Yeah.
inviting, because if you use a lot of technical terms and, what we are notorious in our profession to start throwing out specific diagnoses and that sort of thing that we help with. And it's really just
And
better to put it
terminology no
into,
one really understands. Yeah.
right, and just put it into, simpler language. Yeah. Yeah. That's
Exactly.
good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
good.
we always tell our clients that like your main goal is to make you sound knowledgeable, but also empathetic, also willing to
Mm-hmm.
help, also welcoming, so that people don't feel intimidated, that they
Right.
feel, okay, this person, I know they can help me. Because on the other hand, I know they have qualifications, but I also feel comfortable with the way they talk to me. So this is what
Right.
matters.
Yeah. How much, something that gets thrown around a lot just in
Mhm.
entrepreneurship and also just in therapy world is the importance of niching or niching, however you want to say that word.
Yeah.
What are you finding around that as far as do you do you feel like it is important to niche with your practice?
Yeah, it sure may be. It depends on of what kind of niche you have in mind, right? What we do is we always ask our clients what kind of therapy, what kind of target groups, and what kind of problems they feel comfortable with. And for everything that we got from them, we always run keyword research to see what kind of queries are popular in their area, right?
Mm-hmm.
So some niches are very good if they are popular on Google. So for example, if you do EMDR as a service and it's popular in your area, then definitely you should focus on that, right? But there are
Mm-hmm.
sometimes if your niche is too narrowed down, it may turn out you don't have enough searches on Google. And in the worst case scenario, you won't even be able to run ads for this kind of niche. And
Yeah.
basically, it doesn't mean that it's a bad niche. It only means that you should focus on maybe some other ways of reaching that kind of clients. But with
Right.
Google, if you want to advertise, you need to meet a specific threshold of searches. If there's just, let's say, 5 people looking for a specific service in a month,
Mm-hmm.
it is likely that Google will just display this warning saying not enough searches. Sorry, come up with
Yeah.
something else.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. What we didn't really talk about this ahead of time,
Mhm.
but one topic that is really hot right now is the use of AI.
Mhm.
And what are you seeing with Google and Google Ads and being able to, I guess, what's the potential for us in our field around therapists of using AI in terms of helping with marketing?
Right. So when it comes to Google Ads, Google has been using AI for quite some time now. Actually, a specific AI related technology that's called machine learning. And they use machine learning algorithms to optimize all the ads that are run within Google Ads, right? So
Mm-hmm.
even if you're not specifically using AI per se yourself, it's still being implemented in your campaign, right? And
Mm-hmm.
right now, Google focuses with AI on organic results. So it's mostly for SEO, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right now, Google is working on an entirely new version of their search engine where the first thing you see when you type in a specific query is an AI generated response based on several websites, several sources
Mm-hmm.
that would usually rank high in the organic results. So this is still in the making. They are
Mm-hmm.
just testing this in several countries. So yeah, if you're not in the program, if not like a beta tester, you won't even be able to see this new
Right.
search engine. But it will come eventually. But
Mm-hmm.
for now, what we see and, talking with industry experts, this for now, the plans are to limit it to SEO, to limit it to organic results. I personally think that Google will not tamper that much with paid results because this is where they directly make money, right? So they want to keep
Mm-hmm.
those clients happy. Of course, there are other AI tools that you can use. For example, if you're having trouble with wording or with conveying your kind of message, you can also always use ChatGPT to help you with,
Mm-hmm.
organizing your thoughts and coming up with a nice headline or a nice ad. We usually, work with our clients, and we basically, most of the time, we base on our experience to come up with ads that are, tailored to the needs of the target audience. But if this is something someone struggles with, there are many AI tools that can help you generate headlines, descriptions, or even ads themselves. Not
Right.
necessarily something we do, but yeah, it's an option, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting in that I noticed this. I don't know how long they've been doing it, but on Facebook, for example, they've got when you do a
Mhm.
search, it's connected to AI, and so
Oh yeah,
and so
yeah,
I'm
that's
sure that's that's coming for Google as well. I'm sure. Yeah,
probably yes. Yeah, in the near
yeah,
future.
yeah, yeah. So well, Mike, I have to be respectful of your time, and I think this is just all good stuff for people to keep in mind and remember, and just thinking about their marketing strategies, and you consider using Google Ads. I think, and then to make it easier, using someone like you that knows how to do it, rather than trying to spend a whole lot of time trying to figure it out, which I think is a good obviously would be a good return on the investment. But tell folks how they can get in touch with you and if they want to work with you and how they can do that.
Yeah, so everyone is invited to take a look at our website, fullybookedpros.com, where there's pretty much everything that we help with, from web design to Google Ads to Google Maps and optimization. And for Practice of Therapy podcast guests, or listeners, we have a special offer, 10% discount for the first year of cooperation on the management fee on our part. Yeah. So if you're
Okay.
interested, if you want to grow your private practice, not really want to spend a lot of time learning Google Ads, because I've got to be honest, the dashboard is not really intuitive, and at first it can be like really overwhelming. I
Mm-hmm.
sure know it was for me at first.
Mm-hmm.
So I know this can be difficult for many people. If you want to, just work with us and grow your private practice without investing too much time on your part, then yeah, you're happy to reach out. We offer free consultations for anyone who's interested in growing their private practice. You can just book with us, free consultation, pick a day, pick a date, pick a time, and yeah, we're happy to chat with you.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Mike, this was a great conversation, and I hope maybe we'll be able to be in touch again soon. Well, again, a big thanks to Mike for being on the podcast. And be sure to check out his website, fullybookedpros.com. One of the things that again that I'd mentioned before the interview, that I had done a consulting call with someone, and one of the other themes that comes up, I think a lot of times, is we can be too slow to outsource things, and I think when it comes to things like Google Ads and advertising and that sort of thing, it's probably a good idea to outsource that, and even your website design and your website stuff, it's worth your time and worth the expense of doing that. I think a lot of times we can get into maybe a little bit of a scarcity mindset when it comes to spending money in those ways. But one of the things that I always like to remind people of is think about the return on the investment. It's like if you were to spend, say, $500 on Google Ads, and you were to get just one client from that, it would probably pay for itself, but you're probably going to get more than that. And so I think in thinking about it, you have to think long term and think of it as an investment. You know, the old adage, sometimes you have to spend money to make money. And that's one of the things that I've learned in the years that I've been in private practice. I'm of that age where spending money and being a penny pincher and all of that sort of thing was kind of ingrained in me by my parents. So I was taught a lot about bootstrapping and doing stuff yourself before you paid somebody else to do it. But I don't think that that's always a good way to do things. So anyway, keep that in mind. And if you're interested in connecting with Mike, again, there'll be links here in the show notes and the show summary to connect with Fully Booked Pros. So be sure and check them out. And also be sure and check out our website, practiceoftherapy.com, and all the resources there. And if you're interested in consulting with me, you'll find links there to apply, and love to have that conversation with you and do some individual consulting. Again, I think it's, I know every time that I've done consulting or worked with someone else in growing my practice, it has made a big difference and been worth the investment. So anyway, just put that in there, put that in your ear, and be sure and check out our sponsor of the podcast, Therapy Notes. They are the leading electronic health record system for mental health providers, and I couldn't operate without them in my practice. And you talk about a great return on the investment. They are definitely that in terms of the time it saves us, and also in just being able to automate things so much better within our practice, and people making appointments and our clinical records and all of that sort of thing. It's just second to none. So be sure and check it out, practiceoftherapy.com/therapy notes. And be sure and use that promo code, just Gordon, Gordon, and you can try them out for 2 months for free. So, well, take care, folks. Got some more great guests lined up for our next episodes. And I'd love to hear from you and reach out to me. And I love getting comments. And also take time, as I said at the beginning, take time to follow us or subscribe to the podcast, and also leave us a review. That just helps other people find us when you do things like that. So take care, folks. Have a good rest of your day or your weekend. You've been listening to the Practice of Therapy podcast with Gordon Brewer, part of the Psychcraft network of podcasts. You can find out more about the other great podcasts in the network by visiting psychcraftnetwork.com. And if you haven't done so already, please visit us at practiceoftherapy.com and get your free private practice startup guide, along with a lot of other great resources and webinars and free things just by visiting. Also, be sure to follow us wherever you might be listening to your podcasts. This podcast is intended to be educational in purpose and is not intended to give legal, accounting, or counseling advice. If you need a professional, find the right person for that.